Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to make a quick video for you guys today because I've been seeing a lot of questions regarding Poshmark and if Poshmark accepts returns and what happens if a customer is not happy with the item that they purchased from you, and what do you do if a case gets opened against you. Lots of questions regarding item not as described cases and returns. So today I want to try and kind of answer a few of those questions. And then first I'm going to tell you how to avoid having a case opened against you. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you what to do if a case is opened against you. So make sure you stay tuned for that for the end of the video. But first I want to talk about how to avoid this in the first place. And avoiding having a case opened against you really comes down to three things. And that is your quality control, your photos, and honesty. So the first thing I want to talk about is your quality control, because it all starts off with the items that you choose to sell in your Poshmark closet. So you really need to be aware of what you're selling. And with every single item that you sell, whether it comes from your own closet or whether it is something that you have sourced from somewhere to sell, or even your boutique items, if you are buying new things from a wholesaler to sell on Poshmark, you really need to inspect and look at every single item that you sell, because you need to look at that item and you need to ask yourself that if you spent your money on that item and that is what you received in the mail, would you be happy with it? You really have to ask yourself these questions, because if a buyer gets something that's not of good quality, they are going to open a case against you. Because even though Poshmark allows the selling of used items, you don't necessarily need to be selling every single used item that you have. So if you are pulling something from your own closet, or if you are out at a store, thrift store, wherever, sourcing items, you need to inspect every single item, and you need to look it over. You need to look at, are there any holes? Are there any stains? You need to look at the item overall as a whole, and you need to ask yourself, does it look like it's been washed 1,000 times? Does it have pilling on it? The little fuzzies that you get when you do wash something 1,000 times. You really need to look at every single item, especially if it is a used item. And even if it's a brand new item, if you're out at the thrift store and you find an item and it has tags on it, but it's at the thrift store, you still need to look it over, because lots of times I find stuff with the tags on it and it has been donated because it has a hole in it or it has a stain on it. And you really need to look at that. And, just because something has the tags on it does not mean that you don't need to inspect it. You need to inspect every single item that you sell. So, and really pay attention to the overall condition of the item, because just because nothing has a hole or a stain, if it looks like you put it in the washing machine 1,000 times and it's faded or thinning or has the pilling on it, you don't need to be selling that either. So, really, really look at these things and ask yourself, if I spent money on this, not only if I spent money on this, if I spent my money on this and then paid $6.49 to have it shipped to me, would I be happy if I opened my package and received this in the mail? You really, really have to ask yourself that. The only thing that I would even make a minor exception on regarding condition are designer items, high-end stuff, expensive stuff, like Louis Vuitton bags. People will buy vintage bags with wear and, marks on them because they're vintage and they are still expensive, and those are things that are kind of like collectibles. That's the only thing that you could ever even entertain the idea of selling in, if it has wear in it. The second thing I want to talk about are your photos. So you really need to pay attention to photographing your item, and you need to include basically every inch of that item if you can. Look at the overall item, take close-ups, take far away, try to get in natural lighting, try to get different angles of it, so maybe, the lighting picks up different colors. You really, especially shoes, you need, if you're selling a used pair of shoes, you need to photograph all sides of the shoe, front, back, each side, the soles of the shoe, the tops of the shoe, and the size. Like I was looking at this pair of shoes the other day on Poshmark, and somebody had taken a picture of the soles, but you could only see like a smidgen of the soles, but you could tell they had just been worn to death, okay? Like, they were leather soles, so of course they're going to show wear on them, but they didn't include a full picture of the soles. So you really have to include pictures of the soles of the shoes, and then you need to include photos of the sides of the shoes. And the reason that I'm telling you to include pictures of the sizes of the shoes is because I'm just going to give you, because this happened to me. As an example, this happened to me. I sold a pair of boots to someone. They were a black pair of boots, and I sent them to the person who bought them, and so they get the shoes, and on the very last day, this girl opens a case against me, and I go to the notes in the case, and it says that I sent her the incorrect size, and apparently she had provided pictures of the shoes and the incorrect size that I sent her. I only had one pair of these, like, the only ones I had, and I had pictures of the size in the listing. But what she had done, I went to her closet, and she also had a pair of black boots for sale. They were not the same boots, but they were still black, and I'm pretty sure that she took a picture of the size of her boots and sent them to Poshmark, trying to say that I sent her the wrong size, or that I didn't put the correct size. But because I had a picture of the size of the shoes on the shoes in my listing, the case was denied against her. Like, they released my funds, end of story. Your pictures are the only evidence that you have to protect yourself against these cases, so you need to include as much of the item as possible. And I know you only get like a limited amount of photos, but you need to download some sort of app on your phone. If you need to include more photos, you can go, if something has a layout where you can do a collage and put 4 pictures in it, that's what I do. I use an app called Diptyque, D-I-P-T-I-C, Diptyque. And they have all different kinds of collage layouts that you can choose from and add multiple pictures into one. So it's one picture with multiple pictures in it. Download that so you can include, more pictures if you need to. Yeah, so try to include as many pictures as you can of everything. Buttons, details, beading, especially if there's beading. Take a close-up of the beading, because if somebody gets it and there's a loose thread anywhere on the item, they're going to file a case against you. No questions asked. So yeah, pay attention to your photos. Take detailed photos in good lighting, and that will help you, those are your evidence. So you need good photos. So take good photos in good lighting. The third thing that I want to talk about is your honesty. And, this is kind of a relevant subject, but in terms of your honesty, whenever you are selling something, if you have something to sell on Poshmark, you need to describe the item as accurately as you can. If it has, any wear at all, even if it's minor, you need to put that in your listing. You need to say something about that. You need to put the material, the fabric in your listing so people can kind of know what it feels like. You need to, if there's any sort of flaw, even if it's just a little flaw, you need to point that out and take a picture of it in your listing. You need to make sure it's written in there, even though people don't read. That's a whole different story. Make sure it's written in there. and include a photo, and then where you write it in there, put see photo. Circle it on the photo if you have to. For instance, I just sold this, it's like a bright orange Lily Pulitzer cardigan sweater, and on the back of it, it looked like somebody had taken like a pen and just put like a little dot on the back of it. Nothing major, it was nothing crazy, but it was there. So I disclosed it in the listing, and I took a picture of it and put that in the listing, a close-up of it, so people would know, so that, if I didn't tell them about this and then they get it and it has a spot on it, they could file a case against me for that if I did not disclose that in my listing. But I disclosed it in the listing, and it sold 5 stars, no problem, everybody's happy. So you've got to be honest about the things that you are selling, and you have got to tell people if they have flaws on them. Don't try and hide it. It doesn't, just because something has a minor flaw does not mean that it's not going to sell, or that you're going to have to give some crazy discount on it. Just put a disclosure in your listing about the flaw. So be honest with people. That way, that will, even if they get the item and they're unhappy with the flaw, they might still open a case, but that way, if you disclose it in your listing, there's nothing they can do about it. Like, the item is as described because you disclosed that in your listing. So those are my 3 things to do to avoid having a case opened against you. Be aware of what you're selling, quality control, inspect everything, take good photos in natural lighting, and be honest. If something has flaws, be honest about it. Be honest about the wear. Be honest about, if this is a personal item of yours, be honest about how many times you wore it. Be honest if it's been washed, if it hasn't been washed. Tell people. Okay, so that's how you avoid having a case opened against you, or try to. If a case is opened against you, you're going to get an email that's saying, case in review. And it's going to have the reason in the email as to why they opened a case against you, or it should. Usually it does. So you need to read that. You need to immediately, as fast as you can, put a note. You go to the app and you click on the notification where it tells you that a case has been opened. You open that, and it will let you put a note in to the case so that they can read it. And so you need to put a note in if you describe this item accurately, you had good pictures, you know the item is as described, and they're just trying to scam you or whatever they're doing. Go into the note, put in the note, refer them to your photos. If, this person is complaining about a flaw and there was a disclosure about the flaw, put that in there, refer them to your description, say that you disclosed this. If you guys had any sort of comments down below the listing, refer them to those so that, they can see that you answered this person's questions. Anything that you can tell them that you need to point out to defend your case, put that in the note. Just make sure you include as many details as possible in your note, and make sure you do it as quickly as possible, because, I have had cases closed the same day. I have had cases that have taken up to 5 days to be closed. Make sure you put in your note as quickly as possible. I have also gone as far as to email them. If I saw it as a major problem, I have emailed them before. It does not mean that you necessarily need to email them, but I have emailed them. The case that I had that took the girl with the boots, that took almost 5 days to get resolved. So I did email them about that, because that was taking a lot longer than usual, and it was like kind of bothering me. Like, I didn't understand why they hadn't resolved it. So yeah, you need to act as quickly as possible in responding to the case. And just, tell them, like, these are my photos, this is my description, this is what I did. And, you're going to make mistakes, and sometimes a case is going to be opened against you, and it's going to be a mistake. And if that happens, then you just need to own up to it, let them return it, let Poshmark do whatever they're going to do. That's all you can do. One more point, Poshmark does not take returns for buyer's remorse. So, I saw on Facebook the other day, somebody was trying to say that they thought they overpaid for something. Okay, nobody forced them to pay for that item. They bought that item willingly. If they get the item and decide that they think they overpaid for it, that is not justifiable to open a case against you. Somebody buys an item, you send them the item they ordered, they cannot open a case against you. They can open a case, but as long as you have been honest about the item, the case will be closed in your favor. Like, you're going to have people who are going to open cases against you just because that's how retail works. I've worked in retail since I was 17. I'm 27. Retail, food, anywhere. You're going to have people that you just can't please. Those people are going to exist. And you can't take it personally. So, if you've done everything right and somebody still opens a case against you, do not take it personally and do not offer to let them return the item either. Say you're sorry, offer them a discount on something in your closet if you want to, but if they're still not happy, tell them to email Poshmark and that they need to email Poshmark's customer service, because in terms of customer service on Poshmark, it's very limited in terms of what sellers can do or offer. So that's my point. I'll end on that note. I'm always here to answer questions. If you have questions for me, definitely leave them in the comments down below. If you've had experiences that you'd like to share, leave them in the comments down below. It might help someone else. If you are new and you are from Poshmark and you found my channel through Poshmark, I welcome you. I do hope that you will subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like this, if you have questions, leave them down below, and they might be in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!